Welcome to Good Burger Reviews. My name is John, and I'm here to do a shark movie review. And that movie is Shark Waters.
Cease in-water activity immediately. Be on heightened alert for sharks.
Not looking good, Cap. We hit ground!
Oh my God.
We're taking in water.
This movie was directed by Jaden Cal Fitzpatrick. It stars Jim Fitzpatrick, Megan Carasquillo, Mike Ray Anderson. Great white shark attacks a fishing charter, and with the shoreline miles away, those aboard are forced to fight for their lives. So while we're in the summer months, I decided that I would throw back a few years and get into some recent shark flicks that I haven't seen and review some shark movies to see if we can find any golden nuggets in the sea of really bizarre shark movies. So let's get into the good, the bad, and the ugly on Shark Waters. So in the positives, and I really only have one positive, that is the music. So the music was actually really good in this movie. It just seemed like perfect shark music, perfect action, creature feature flick movie. Kudos to the composer of the music in Shark Waters, because it definitely was one of the only positive things in this movie about a shark attacking a fishing charter. So that'll bring me to the mixed. Low budget horror, low budget shark films. Just, even though you have a low budget film, I feel like you can still have some quality in the writing, in the acting, in the execution of what you're doing. So yes, there's CGI sharks here. Yes, you don't have a lot of props to work with, but what you do have doesn't work well and can't make an entertaining show, then my question is, what is the real point? Because this movie is rough. So I just finished reviewing not too long ago a movie called Shark Terror, and I was completely shocked of how terrible it was, to the point where I literally wanted to give it the number 2 slot in the worst shark movies of all time. And now, after watching this movie, I feel like I want to give this movie the number 2 slot. It's going to be impossible for any of these shark movies to dethrone Cruel Jaws from terrible shark movies, but this one definitely comes into a close second. I should feel like I should have a second place contest for all these terrible shark movies, but this one's rough. So I'm putting this whole aspect in the mix because I'm just mixed on the entire quality of the film, when I felt like there is enough to make it better.
Dad, there's been a really bad accident. 2 others were eaten by sharks, and our engine is seized.
Not looking good, Cap.
There's so many sharks.
First thing, I need to know, are you okay?
And I sit here as I review movies like Shark Terror and Shark Waters and a few of the shark movies I reviewed last year, and I kind of regret the fact that I gave Thrash on Netflix a spam and putting all these other movies as spam as well. I just feel like, because of the lack of qualities in some of these shark movies, Thrash is definitely moving its way up to a basic burger after all this. So let's just break down the negatives in a spoiler format, because usually when a movie's this rough, I say, why not just watch this video and save yourself an hour and 25 minutes and we can roast this movie together. So this movie starts off with a very young girl who's about to go on a fishing charter, and it's very crucial in the opening scene that she's talking with her father, and the acting here is rough out the gate. I felt like, was a script even written? Did these inexperienced actors just improv it or what? Either way, it is setting the stage for what's going on with the characters. This girl clearly loves her father. She mentions him so much to the point where you would think she was in love with him, but that's not the point of this movie or this review. But she basically has this like huge farewell, like before they even realize that anything was going to go wrong on this little fishing trip. Now, here's the funny thing. She's leaving on this fishing trip with these two dudes and another couple, and she's having this grand farewell with her dad, hugging him, and he's like almost tearful.
Hey, oh yeah, can you slow down just a little bit? They won't leave without you, I promise. I paid a lot for this charter.
Are you okay?
See, I just wanted to show you.
You know, and she was like, he was supposed to come, but because he has a hurt foot, like he's in a cast. And I'm wondering if the person who did the acting was in a cast and that's why he was in a cast, or if that was just a plot point to get him not to go on the boat at first. Because he wasn't going to go on this fishing cruise charter because he doesn't have seaworthy feet right now. And I'm going to get back to that. Now, she gets on the boat and she meets the captain, who he was okay, and then the captain's first mate, and he was okay too. I felt like they were improvising their lines as well. They were a little bit better than the father and daughter. And then we get another couple showing up on this all-day fishing charter journey that they're about to go on, and they were terrible, especially the girl. The girl's acting was horrible. But again, these are just going to be throwaway characters because obviously someone in this fairly small cast, obviously we know who's going to get eaten. It was almost predictable, almost to the exact order of how they were going to get eaten. So they decide, they go out and they're supposed to go to a certain area and they're going to catch tons and tons and tons of fish. Meanwhile, the movie had opened up to a very generic shark death of two guys on a girl and a guy on a jet ski. And the CGI was just deathly terrible. And the deaths were, every death in this movie was like CGI but bloody, like tons of blood, but CGI blood. And like, you never hear the people scream when they're dying. And I thought, what the heck? So I'm going to go for a stretch here, but I'm going to say this is Jaws meets Cujo. And the reason why, there's one scene where the shark literally acts like a dog. I guess the shark gets a hold of something, a rope or something, and literally is playing tug of war with the captain and the first mate. And the way the shark was CGI'd in, it looked like, you know when you play fetch with a dog, you throw a stick or you throw a rope or you throw a tennis ball, and the dog comes back with a tennis ball and he's got that serious bite on it and you're trying to pull it back out of his mouth. The dog ain't gonna give up on it. That's how the shark acted in this one scene. So these sharks are Cujo. Now there's also like a side plot going on with like the Coast Guard and like this base who they knew about the shark attack, and there's basically communication going on in between the main group of people who are fishing. You have this going on, and it's a guy in a helicopter, a couple guys on a boat, and a guy at the substation. They all their parts were bizarre and terrible. The acting was bad, the characters were rough, the conversations were just boring or just dumb.
Lenny? What are you doing in there?
Sorry.
Where's Lino?
He's right behind me, isn't he?
You're mine now.
So the main crew's not out there long, the 5 of them, and the shark comes and hits this pretty big yacht. Now this size yacht, there's no way a shark or a group of sharks could ever knock someone off this boat. But, well, the first girl gets pulled off because she's fishing and she catches one of the sharks on the line, and the shark basically wheels her into the ocean instead of her wheeling the shark onto the boat. And, you know, the way the the death was executed was terrible. Just CGI. It's almost seemed like a ghost shark, like because of the way the CGI of the shark was. And then the blood kind of overtook everything anyway. And you couple that with just rough acting, and then the girl doesn't scream when she dies. And then the reactions of the people on the boat are bizarre. Now, here's another thing where I knew I was down a rough patch with this movie. First girl dies, and they realize that they're stranded and they can't, the boat gets disabled somehow. I guess one of the sharks gets caught up in the propellers. There's like multiple sharks. It seemed like 4 at first, but there's just tons of them. And they're stuck.
What the hell are you guys playing with the tiller for? Now by 7:46 when this tide turns
Hey,
out...
shut up!
I'm sorry, Larry. I can't stop thinking about this.
Would you better try?
Hey,
right?
come on! Damn it!
God, please help us. Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of Christ, please help us. Please help us. We're begging. Please save us.
Now it seems like some time passes and then the shark come back and they kill the girl's boyfriend or husband. And after he had like a really bizarre reaction to her death. And he's bickering with the first mate and the captain as well. But that's when the sharks come and they bump their head on the bottom of the boat to knock the next guy off. And I thought totally unrealistic because this boat is pretty big. And he falls into the water and he kind of has like an eddy death because he kills the shark that knocked him in. Oh, by the way, there's a lot of, I had mentioned this in Shark Terror, like where the sharks got beaten with a oar. Well, they like to beat the sharks with a baseball bat in this one. I don't know if they think they're, thugs or whatever, but it just wasn't making no sense with the baseball bats. But he kills one with a baseball bat and then he gets killed. And then, after the second person's dead, that's when this girl decides to whip out her cell phone and say, maybe we should call and get help. And I thought, why didn't you call after the first person died? Which, apparently, for no known reason, the communications on the boat weren't working properly. So all they have is a cell phone. Based on where they probably were, she probably wouldn't have had reception. If you're out far enough in the ocean, you're not going to get reception. But she has reception, but somehow can't get the Coast Guard or 911 on the phone, but manages to get a hold of her dad who's sitting at home in a cast. So like the dad's acting is so over the top and just cheeky. It's rough. And he's like, don't worry, honey, I'm going to come for you. And it's like the girl, like I said earlier, she just, every scene she mentions her dad, even before the sharks came. Like every little aspect of what they did, she had to refer back to her dad. Like, yes, we know he's one of the main characters in this movie. She doesn't need... It was just abnormal. A 25-year-old kid, or however old this kid is, does not mention their parent that much. And he decides to call out to a friend who's already out on the water to get help, to try and find them. And she knew their coordinates immediately, gives the coordinates, and they're going to come out. Now... Meanwhile, these main guys, the Coast Guard, they were monitoring the sharks from the jet ski kills, but they weren't able to track the sharks from the jet skis to the yacht that they started to overtake. Don't know how, because he said, I'm going to stay with these sharks so they don't get no one else, but then they do. There's a boat flying or sailing around looking for the sharks who never seems to find the sharks. Which I don't understand. I mean, I feel like the area that they're patrolling, the whole area of this, I mean, it's probably miles, but not that far. So, like, it's just sad. And then the sharks, meanwhile, at the yacht, they knock the main girl off the thing. And I thought, oh, crap. And then she gets bit. Like, oh, they're on a sandbar, by the way. Kind of very similar to... This is so similar to Shark Terror, by the way. They're on a sandbar... And the shark comes up on the sandbar and bites her in the leg and then goes back into the water. And she's acting, like, first of all, the cut is barely broke the skin. It looked like almost like something you would see like if you fell off the slide at the playground. And I'm like, and she's shivering and she's quivering and she's crying and she's acting like she's at death's door. And I'm like, bitch, please, you didn't even do anything. Like, it didn't barely get you. And you're on a sandbar. And then they got her back on the boat. Anyway. And they're having this whole, they tie her up, and like the way they're reacting to it, and like he's telling her, don't fall asleep, don't close your eyes. It's just so over the top and so unrealistic. It just was ridiculous. It was laugh out loud comical. And that'll bring me to the part which had me laughing the loudest. Like literally LMFAO, like I literally fell onto the floor and died of laughter. Her dad gets hooked up with this dude that's his age. So these guys are what, in their 50s probably? He's got a hurt leg and in a cast. And they get in the smallest raft boat. Very similar to the little boat that I mentioned in Shark Terror that they used to find the girls there. Very similar to the little boat at the end of Jaws 2. I also think of little boat that Mike took when he goes to look for Ellen in Jaws the Revenge, and then Hoagie gets him and they get on a plane. But this boat is so small, and I thought if this shark was causing so much of a disaster with this fairly big yacht, there's no way this boat is going to get through these waters and get to where the now 3 left people are stranded. But the boat gets there, and this was a very, very weirdly filmed scene because I felt like the actors did not film together. So I feel like the 3 people on the boat did their lines, and then the 2 guys in the little raft did their lines, maybe like on a different day, different time. Maybe they had timing conflicts. I don't know. But it just seemed like there was never a shot until the way end when they finally get all onto the same boat that all these people were in the same shot, and it just was very odd. And then the first mate, so like once the dad gets there, I'm thinking there's 3 of them on the yacht and 2 of them in the boat that they came in that they could barely fit these 2, and they're all big guys. Everyone's like a big dude except for the young little girl. And I'm like, there's no way all 4 of these guys and that girl are going to get on that boat and get back. And they figure out a solution to that. Yeah, the shark's going to eat 2 of them before they leave. So you're going to have the first mate basically sacrifice himself in a really dumb way, which I think they could have waited it out longer. Because they kept saying the boat was sinking, the yacht was sinking, but they never showed it. This was very similar to what I said about Thrash and Send Help, about how the water was rising by the character saying it, but you could never see it. Same thing here. And the first mate basically commits suicide by jumping in the water so that the other 2 can get to the boat. And then the sharks finally knock the guy that Dad had called for help on. So basically Dad brings this guy out to rescue daughter, and he dies too. All the deaths are terrible. No one ever screamed. And Dad and the captain and daughter are rescued by a helicopter at the end. Now, finally the helicopter shows up, and I thought, we're not going to have a Jaws 2 scene now. If they would have had Jaws 2 scene, maybe this would have taken, where the shark ate the helicopter, this could have very well maybe taken the worst spot in shark history. But it does not. And it was a very quick watch. I mean, it's an hour and 24 minutes. It's on all the freebie stations, Tubi and Fandango, and you can watch it for free on Fandango. Sometimes that should be a sign when the pay-per-view channel is showing it for free. Anyhow, we're going to get down to business on this one because this one was just rough. It's just rough execution altogether. Despite the budget, I felt like it should have been at least a better effort. So this one, no surprise, spam. Do not recommend. Please like, subscribe, tap that notification bell, all that jazz. And don't forget to stay scared of CGI sharks that like to play fetch.